Hello everybody, welcome back. My name is Mel and today we're going to talk about some of my 5-star predictions. So I have 10 books here for you that I'm hoping will be 5 stars. A lot of these are ones that I've been excited about for a while or I've heard other people really enjoy. Maybe they're from an author that I almost gave 5 stars to or have given 5 stars to in the past. Fingers crossed that this is the book that's really going to do it for me. This year has been kind of hit or miss as far as books go. I've read a lot of books. I would say probably 60-70% of them have been just okay. So I'm really looking for that next, I love it, this was fantastic read, and I'm hoping that one of these books is the book for me. Let's just jump on in. These are in no particular order. They're just going to be in the stack in which I grabbed them. The first one that I want to mention is going to be the only romance on this list, and that is The Never King. This one is a dark romance, a Peter Pan retelling or reimagining where Peter Pan is the bad guy and he's going to come in and steal this girl away. It is a dark captive-captor romance. I've heard that it has some reverse harem aspects to it, so by the time you see this video, I may have already read it because this is coming up on 72 Hours in the Smut Den this weekend, but I'm really hoping I love this book. I don't give a lot of romance 5 stars because while I enjoy them and they're a lot of fun, they just don't usually give me that 5-star feeling. So maybe this dark romance is the one that's going to do it. The next one I want to mention is a thriller, and that is The Resting Place by Camilla Stein. The reason that I'm hoping this one is going to be a 5-star is because I loved The Lost Village. Now, it may have been right moment, right time kind of book for me. Objectively, was it a 5-star book? No, probably not, but it hit me right in the feels when I needed it. The atmosphere was top notch. It is a more slow burn type book, so it's gonna have to hit me in the right moment because I'm thinking this one's gonna be pretty similar, but when I read it, I loved it. This one I believe is a psychological suspense novel that maybe is set in like a haunted house. It's about a person that has face blindness and they can't recognize even a familiar person's face. When Eleanor walked in on the scene of her cruel grandmother's murder, she came face to face with the killer, but the expression meant nothing to someone like her. She has had anxiety about having come so close to the killer and not knowing who they are or if they're going to be back. Then when the lawyer calls that her grandmother left her the house, a looming estate tucked away in the Swedish woods, the place where her grandfather died, a place that has housed chilling past for more than 50 years. I'm excited. I have really high hopes for this one, so keep your fingers crossed for me. The next in the stack is The Master of Jinn by P. Djeli Clark. I think I said that correctly. This is a steampunk fantasy mystery, I believe. And the reason that I'm thinking I may end up giving this one 5 stars is because I actually read the 60-page novella and loved it. And I don't really love novellas as a general rule or short stories like that. They tend to just not quite give me enough. But that one was great. It's a prequel and it made me really want to pick up this book. And so this one is actually a historical. It's set in Cairo of 1912 and it does follow Fatima again, who is one of the youngest in the mystery of alchemy, enchantments, and supernatural entities, and she's not a rookie. She has prevented the destruction of the universe, and I think that's why they recommended reading the novella first, is because it picks up right before the events from this book. But someone murders the members of a secret brotherhood dedicated to one of the most famous men in history. So I'm excited. This one sounds really good. I like the genre mashups. They're really hard to do well, but when they are done right, they can be fantastic. So I have high hopes for this one. We'll see. Next up is one that I'm just really excited about, and this one was gifted to me by Cassidy from Covers with Cassidy, and that's Theariah by Anthony Ryan. I have not read anything by Anthony Ryan. I don't even know a ton about this book. I just know that what I do know sounds so good and right up my alley. So it just says Theariah begins an epic new fantasy series of action, intrigue, and magic. Born into the troubled kingdom, Alwyn, scribe, has been raised as an outlaw, quick of wit and deft with a blade. Alwyn is content with the freedom of the woods and the comradeship of his fellow thieves. But an act of betrayal sets him on a new path, one of blood and vengeance, which eventually leads him into the soldier's life in the king's army. Fighting under the command of Lady Evaladine, a noble woman best by visions of demonic apocalypse, Alwyn must survive war and the deadly intrigues of the nobility if he hopes to claim his vengeance. Vengeance, thieves, political warfare. It sounds great. I'm very, very excited for this one. I actually don't have an excuse why I haven't picked this up yet, so I need to get to it. Then moving on to another one that I do hope to read very soon, and that is The City of Dusk by Tara Sim. I know that this book has been getting mediocre reviews so far, but it just sounds so cool. So I'm going to lump it in here because I have really high hopes that this will be at least a 4, if not a 5-star read for me. It is a political fantasy. I think it's sapphic, and it's about 4 realms: life, death, light, and darkness, who all converge on the City of Dusk, ruled by the 4 noble houses of the Nexus. It's got gods, it's got magic, it's got heirs. I am so excited. It's the first in a trilogy, and I just have such high hopes for this sweeping fantasy that it's just going to kick me off my feet, and I am going to fall in love with it. Plus, this edition from the Fairy Loot adult box is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, the end papers are beautiful. The naked hardcover is gorgeous, so they did a great job with this one. Okay, moving on to another thriller. I've actually got a few thrillers in this one, which is odd because I don't give thrillers 5 stars, ever. Anyway, that is The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James. Now, I have not given Simone St. James a 5-star yet, but I'm hoping that this is going to be that one. I've given her books 4 stars from what I have read so far. I really enjoy them. She hits those paranormal buttons that just really do it for me in thrillers, and so I am hopeful that I'm going to love this one. This has got like a podcast element to it. It has her dual timelines. It's about a true crime blogger who gets more than she bargained for when interviewing the woman acquitted of 2 cold case murders. I'm so excited. I've heard that this one is pretty creepy, so hopefully this is going to be the one that gets 5 stars from me. Next up, we have another massive fantasy, and that is Of Darkness and Light by Ryan Cahill. And I know you're probably thinking, Mel, didn't you give the first book in that series like a generous 3-star? I did. But I gave the novella 5 stars, or 4.5 stars. I loved it. Everything that I had a problem with in the first book seemed to be so much better executed in the novella. The writing style just really seemed to take a better turn. The action was revved up. The pacing was so much better. So I have really high hopes that the second book is going to continue in the same vein of the novella. I am a little bit worried because it is massive that we're going to have some pacing issues, but high fantasy in general tends to have some weird, like, slower pacing throughout the middle. Can't be action all the time, so I'm expecting that and okay with it, but I'm just hoping that the writing and the dialogue is a little less formal, a little less stilted. I'm so excited for this one. It's going to get a 5-star prediction. We'll see how close it gets. Oh, and if you're not familiar, this is a series about a not chosen one who sets off with his friends and eventually gets bonded to a dragon, and he's going to be like the hope and savior of the world, essentially. I know that sounds really generic, and honestly, the first book was pretty generic, but again, the novella was great. Okay, moving on to one that I, again, don't have an excuse for not having read yet, and that is The Blade of Fate by David Dalglish. This is another revenge story about a prince whose parents are killed in front of him, and then he is sent to a prison. He is broken out of that prison with the understanding that he's going to take up the mask of the Vagrant, who is a legendary assassin of otherworldly skill. I do think this book has a lot of training aspects in it, similar to Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. I'm very excited for this book. I think that it's got the potential to have a lot of great action in it, and it has a lot of my buzzwords. We're talking skull mask and the Vagrant and an assassin, a prison, a chosen prince. I'm very, very excited for this book. And then on to the last 2. The next one is The Promise of Blood by Brian McClellan. This is the first book in the Patterned Mage trilogy, and I've never read anything by Brian McClellan. And the reason that this is getting a 5-star prediction from me is because my dad actually read this and the companion series within like a month. He loved them, gave them all 5 stars, absolutely adored them, and has been begging me to read them ever since. And so he and I have pretty similar tastes, so I'm very, very hopeful that I will love this one as well. The back is really short. It says, "It's a bloody business overthrowing a king, but amid the chaos, a whispered rumor is spreading. A rumor of broken promises, omens of death, and the gods returning to walk the earth." I think it has, it's got like guns and is more of, I don't know if it's like a steampunky fantasy, but I'm here for it. I'm ready for it. And the last and only sci-fi on this list is The Velocity Weapon by Megan O'Keefe. I actually heard about this book from Holly Hart's Books a really long time ago when she was talking about one of the later books in the series, and decided that I wanted to put it on my radar. Picked it up not too long ago, read the first chapter in a try a chapter thing, and I loved the first chapter. It was very engaging. I really liked... Hello. Can I help you? Can I help you? Sorry, we have a helper. I really enjoyed the writing style of this book, and it kept me on my toes. It was very intriguing. This is a space opera about Sanda, who remembers her gunship breaking down and the evac pod exploded as expected, but then she ends up on an enemy smart ship that is completely abandoned and discovers that the war is lost, but the star system is dead. But is that the full story? After all, in the vastness of space, anything is possible. And I don't know, I get the sense that it's going to be snarky AI and epic space battles. I am here for it. Okay, so those are my 10 5-star predictions so far. I'm not very good at these videos, to be honest. You would think I would know my reading taste well enough to know what's going to get 5 stars from me, but honestly, I don't tend to go into books knowing all of this stuff about them so that I can tell if they're going to be a 5-star. I just like to enjoy the ride. I did want to talk to you guys about some that I have really, really high hopes for. If these at least get a 4-star, I'm going to be extremely happy. I need some good books in my life this month. So if you're familiar with my reading taste and you think you know the perfect book for me that I'm just going to love, please let me know down in the comments, because again, it's been a rough start to the year and I need some spectacular books. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!